percentage was, if you know this business, you know this of the, they're not right. Percentage was too high or too low. So you know the book, you cannot based on their numbers. Again, back to your point, you got to know your numbers line by line by line, literally.
Welcome to the Path to Passive podcast, where we talk about building wealth and empowering lifestyle through commercial real estate investing for tech professionals. I always wish that other tech professionals reaching financial freedom had documented their journey along the way, so I'm doing it for the rest of us. Join as we explore stories, many failures, and lessons learned along the way. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. Shan, thank you so much for being here. I'm glad we finally got the time here to connect and do this episode together. You know, we've been chatting for quite a bit now in one of our apartment masterminds, as well as another mastermind, and we've got to even do a run together in New Orleans last fall, which was pretty cool. And you've been active doing running as well. We'll get into more later on, but I'd love for you just to, quickly introduce yourself for all of the new listeners here who will be getting to know you as well. So welcome to the show. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you very much, first for inviting me. It's always great to see you. And my name is Shan Barton. I've been living in Texas for over 30 years. And I was an accountant when I first come here. But 10 years, well, not 10 years, 2011, I think, I created a job as a corporate job, and to work for myself. Then later on discovered, discovered to be a realtor. Really, I really enjoyed it. Not to be a realtor, to be a real estate investor. Started investing in single families, and then later on to explore to the mobile home parks. So that's really it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Along the way, I want to pull the onion back and unfold that story a bit, because as easy it is to say it in 30 seconds. It's like these big events in life which made you realize these different things along the way. And so how did you figure out that real estate investing was the place that you wanted to start? And there's ahas along the way. And just to, before you answer that, just to remind you, the people that are listening are, from tech, right? This is real estate investing for tech professionals. And so, many people have not even made their first investment yet, or have bought their house, or have, looked at other asset classes out there, but maybe haven't done it first. And so hearing about where, your story of what is it that you realized and to make a next step is actually very interesting. So what were some of those ahas for you along the way?
Sure, definitely. When we first, bought the the rental properties, really. Actually, the first rental property was our primary home. We bought another home and tried to rent that one. That was during right before 2006, 2005, 2006 that time, and during that, right before the storm, and put on the market for a while, couldn't sell it. Instead, try to sell it. We said, just go ahead and rent it. So found a tenant, everything was fine, and at that time, mortgage rate, I think it was 7-8%, something like that. But even with that, the rental check every month coming steadily also still covers the property tax, the mortgage rate, everything. I think I still have about, $200 or $300 left afterwards. Just every month still have $200 or $300 cash flow. And we think, oh wow, that's really pretty, that's pretty good. You don't need to worry about a mortgage or anything. That's, we're accountant, or just common sense, really. People think tenant to pay your mortgage. You really don't need to worry about, that much. So that made me think, okay, I need to check into the rental house, that field. That really, I think that's a beginning of the journey of this investing journey. Then starting investing in the real estate. But at that time, I have no clue about commercial. Definitely at that time, I had a small mind. You think, okay, single family, that's the only way to go. You look at the duplexes, look at the small single families, and just here there, and just small single families here there, and build up, and then finally realize it's a lot of work when you do single families.
Yeah.
After 4 or 5 rentals, you kind of like, oh my goodness, I need to learn what's going on.
Yeah.
Everything's so that at that time think about definitely. When you're investor, you go to different at that time what's called the meetups on pretty
Mm-hmm.
much every week, and Tuesday and Friday or Saturday morning normally go to different meetups and go see the investors. And then you go to different groups, talk to different people. Gradually you get invited to different with different groups. Some of doing commercials, and then you
Mm-hmm.
listen to them and just realize, oh, okay, I need to check out some commercials. And their concept, I agree with what they said. Like instead one roof, let's say 10 units or 20 units at that time in my mind, that's you only go to one property, check on one, if assets out, 2 or 3 homes units are vacant or what assets out, you only need to go to trip the one time, that one
Mm-hmm.
location instead of drive around all over the town. So that was really kind of like the trigger point. Think about, okay, I need to look at, for the multifamily, that arena.
Yeah,
Then I
it's
started.
it's such a classic. It's such a classic story, right? To buy your own place, right, and to think, okay, what can I do to rent out others, and um, start seeing some net cash flow. Okay, this is making sense, but you do it a couple of times and maybe you have all the capital where you can actually do that. But at some point that starts to be constrained as well, but also the amount of time, the amount of work. And then from there, like you're saying, go to meetups, continue to network and see, oh, if I go to one place, there's so many more, units there. You get these economies of scale, right? So you went through the same type of
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
So how did you go from then seeing, I imagine you made some investments in multifamily then, but we're here to talk about what's now sort of your bread and butter around mobile home parks. And so how
Hmm.
did you go from mobile home parks or from multifamily apartment investing to mobile
Hmm.
home parks?
Yes, definitely. At that time, I think I was checking into mobile home parks and apartments. I remember at that time I went to Brett Summerall's event too, and also
Mm,
another one, mobile home park. The guy, what's it called, the Frank Roth. Both event, and
mm-hmm.
I went to both of the boot camps and the sign up paid program. I mean, we all know that we go to different boot camps and pay lots of money for different weekend boot camps, lots of programs or groups,
Yes,
whatever.
certainly.
But because my finance background, accounting background, I look at the cash flow. I mean, everybody talk about because of commercials, everybody talk about the cash flow, cash flow, cash flow.
Hmm.
I guess probably from my accounting background, uh, I guess you have it's easy for me to read the financial statement, everything, and look at the financial P&Ls. I can easily identify, okay, is this business healthy or not, and where the cash flow, what's the business model. That's easy for me to identify. So when I look at their business model and compare, definitely mobile home parks cash flow is much better than what's it called, the multi apartments, I would say. So at that point, I decided, you know what, I just want to just focus on the mobile home parks.
Awesome. So because of your accounting background, you'll look at, the P&Ls, the profits and the loss. Really, we're talking about net operating income, right? Everything that
Exactly.
comes in, the expenses, it just sort of made more sense. And so you went to these different, boot camps and instructions to learn and, understand the different business models for apartments and for mobile home parks to look at the numbers and see those trends. I know every deal is different, and I know it's a tough question to be like, well, certain numbers, but you know, this isn't financial advice. This isn't real numbers, all that sort of stuff. But give us an idea. Is that like typically, will you see that it's 1x or 2x or 3x, from mobile home park income to multifamily? You can answer that however you want to. I'm just like, how much more is it better is sort of what I'm asking about.
I would say at that time we're looking at what's called cap rate, not 1x, 2x, that way. CapEx. CapEx, mobile home parks at that time, we see lots of 10s, 12s. Well, yeah, 9 or 10 in that range. That's most of 9 or 10. And you definitely see some 12s or 13s or 14s, 15s. Multifamily at that time, class C or C plus, normally around 7 cap in that range in that DFW area. So
Mm-hmm.
7 to 8, I would say. I mean, that's easy. We know that, when you look at the property interest rate at that time, about 7.5%, kind of like now, really, interest rate. So at that time, we look at the spread. If your cap rate is 10, your interest rate is 7, you get a 3% spread. That's pretty much, you make money. That's easy. That's simple math. Even these days, when we look at it, you look at your spread. So that's probably, I would say it's easy. I don't know, did I answer your question or not?
Sure. So one of the big metrics you're looking for is cap rate to understand what the interest, to answer the question of how much better mobile home parks are cash flowing versus your analysis for multifamily. You were looking at cap rate, and so the cap rates you're seeing a bigger spread from the interest rate to the cap rate. Right. And that's how you're looking at that. And so cap rate or capitalization rate, it's return on your money if it were paid in cash, or let's make this super simple. How would you explain what a cap rate is for someone so they can understand why this spread in difference is so important?
Okay. In simple language, I would say cap rate, we can Google it. Cap rate is pretty much really is just estimate your value of the property. Pretty much that is, let's say cap rate, we all know is equals to the asking price divided the property value. So that's another way you turn around. You can get the asking price, how much going to be will be your cap rate time your asking what's called the property value. And at that time, lots of properties, LoopNet, that at that time we don't have Craxi now, right? At that time, just LoopNet. We also have premium membership. Most of commercial brokers list their properties with how much cap rate, going to be. We all know cap rate depends on your underwriting, Everybody cap rate is different, depends on based on the projected return or depend on actual return. So that's really lots of layers to peel off. But at that time, brokers, they list that way. So that's quick, simple way really is, I remember that they, right now, actually, we can do a quick, what's called underwriting is pretty much really, if we know when we calculate actual cap rate, we're based on the actual cap rate. Let's say if your rental income, your monthly rental income time your 12 months, that's your annual income. Annual income, normally, mobile home parks, the what's called expense ratio, all the expenses normally about 30%. So total income times 30%, that's your pretty much net income. You see what I'm saying? Net income divided by whatever capital rate you think that neighborhood is supposed to be, or that location, that city is supposed to be. Let's say if that location 10% cap rate divided by 10, then you get your asking price. If their asking price higher than that or lower than that, you pretty much you can just really quick napkin method can get idea the price is reasonable or not. That's pretty much you can just very quickly to evaluate the property instead underwriting spend hours to underwriting exactly how much you supposed to ask, because sometimes you're on the spot. People say, oh, I want to sell. The broker say, hey, do you want this deal? Sometimes you're on the spot. You say, I need to make this quick. Instead, you got to identify that property is a good deal or not. After that, then you decide, okay, how motivated the seller is. Then you can, different strategies to get that deal under contract. Then you can do your due diligence, everything,
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of fun because what you're really, in this dialogue and you giving that, talking about that, really see how it's so important to know your numbers, right?
Yeah,
Background aside, I mean, it helps obviously. This is your domain of expertise of that background of accounting, but certainly understanding the numbers, knowing things like expense ratio, right? And thinking about, okay, if you have your income and expense ratio, and understanding cap rate to find value. This is sort of what you walked through. And so I've done other episodes on this as well. So if anyone's listening and they want to deconstruct that a bit more, I know we went through it fast, but knowing your numbers is the important thing here. So thank you for
for
covering that,
sure.
Shan.
For
Um,
sure, for sure.
so
That's another thing. Yeah, see a lot on the market. Sorry, on the market, a lot of people, ask, oh, how they think everything's the same. You just get your formula plug in. But I really think I want to emphasize this one. You got to know your business. Whatever asset class you are in, you got to know your business, know your numbers, just like you mentioned, and also each line, expenses wise, or each line, what their percentage is supposed to be normal. If they're normal, because the seller can give you their P&L, whatever can be cooked. People call it cook
mhm.
the book. So if you don't know your business, you think, oh, that number is that's good, but percentage wise, if you know this business, you know this of the they're not right. Percentage wise, too high or too low. So the book, you cannot based on their numbers. Again, back to your point, you got to know your numbers line by line by line, literally. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's different sets of numbers you're talking about too. One was the ratio of the relation for numbers, but you're also talking about emphasizing knowing your numbers on, well, income, yes, what those mean, but expense as well. So the books aren't cooked, but especially
right,
important, it's about understanding those numbers relative to the market, right?
exactly.
And so, yeah, I mean, great call. Thank you so much for emphasizing. Let's talk about, let's cover a little bit about what the business model is. I know a lot of it will be similar to other asset classes, but just a reminder. I mean, not everyone
Hmm.
might know it, might be hearing this for the first time, right? So, um, you said that you've talked with brokers who might give you deals, right? And so
Right.
let's sort of talk about what does the process look like to go and find mobile home parks to even invest in? Like where do you get them? Like sure they have to come from somewhere, and then there's next steps like analyzing or whatever else. What does that process look like to actually acquire a mobile home park?
Definitely, definitely. Everybody agrees. I think most of very active investors for for commercial properties normally, definitely the brokers. That's the number one choice. To get the brokers, they're professional. They're still not as great, kind of like a real like home run, but they're fair. They're good deals because they are professionals. So they know what they are doing. They already probably already processed it, have you selected a lot of reasonable sellers and they're willing to sell and the numbers are reasonable. I think
Mhm.
brokers definitely is number one. Second one will be off market properties. Just you go directly contact the sellers, and some, especially mobile home parks, this area, lots of mama pops still have lots of mama pops. You contact them directly and build a personal relationship, either
Mhm.
by the phone or by visiting or by the mail. Then, relationship is when it definitely is very important. So that way you build trust, then that's another way to get it, definitely. And
Do you,
also you search online like Facebook and what's it called? Oh, what's that? Another one. Just online is some discount sites, and that
mm,
way some people post over there, and just
mm.
find from there too. Sorry.
Got it. Do you see? I mean, with so one is on market with talking with the brokers. The other is off market. People who are in residential will be familiar with the MLS. You mentioned LoopNet and also Crexy
Hmm.
now for
Hmm.
commercial side. Um, with uh, with bigger multifamily as a comparison, those are definitely going to go through brokers, right? Because that's anything smaller, it's mom and pop, you can reach out, direct mail, whatever, referrals,
Yeah.
more likely. Is there something similar like that for mobile home parks as well, like some kind of like threshold, that would be you're more likely to find on off market versus you'll find 50 plus, I don't know, flats or mobile homes with the brokers. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yes, yes, I agree. Definitely, most of mom and pop mobile home parks, they are like 20, 30, 50, in that range. Some even below, even like a 6 or 4 or 14 and 20 end.
Hmm.
I would say the lots or pets above 100 or 80 above, normally through brokers. That's in general because most are owned by a group of investors or sophisticated investors or a
Hmm.
group of REITs, most of the sophisticated investors. And
Yeah.
then they definitely most likely dealing with the brokers and buy or sell. That's definitely big deals and better deals through brokers. Yes, I would say they are the same, pretty much the same. Yes.
Got it. You said that was about 80 to 100. Is that what you said?
80 above or 100
80 and
above,
above.
I would say. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
And these mobile homes, it's exactly what it sounds like manufactured homes, module
Correct.
homes, those types of things. They're just kind of brought in and put on the flat.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Well, depend. Each state, the law or rules are different. In Texas, it's not required to have slab.
Mm,
Some states, I mean, in the north or some states, they require you have to have slabs. Some it's okay, just underground or how deep you need to be. So each state is different. You got to check with your state laws and to find out what's the requirement.
got it. Okay. So I was asking that to sort of pivot to like the operations aspect of
Hmm.
it. Like,
Hmm.
with multifamily, it's okay. People looking for a place to live, they come in, they go to the leasing office or whatever, and they show the unit. Yes, looks good. Sign a lease. Cool. Get everything you need to move in. What does that actually look like for people to, you know, come into a mobile home park? Like, who is how do people get there? How do they bring their entire mobile home and live there, or are these mobile homes typically rented? What does the operations look like?
Uh, I would say depends on the business model. Most of mobile home parks owners, their business model is they're land own what's called they own the lots. They don't own the mobile homes. But sometimes you have new homes coming in. You sell to the tenant or sell to the we call residents. Sell to the
Mm-hmm.
residents or some of like abandoned or rehab the home we call the park owner homes. Then you
Mm-hmm.
need to sell to the residents. In that case, you do have, let's say, some vacant properties there.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, the way we handle is just we have on-site management anyway, on-site manager, and
Mm-hmm.
they pretty much they live in their own home. We don't have on-site the office to say. We don't have like
Mm-hmm.
apartments have, office there, property management sitting office day in day out. We don't have that. You don't need to really. I mean, unless you 150 plus communities, then you need the office. Then yes, you maybe that's a setup. Kind of like you have a individual mobile home there as your office. Then you have property manager sitting there day in day out, answer calls, and when tenants or residents come in, ask questions, dealing with day in day out operations. But ours we don't. Ours most of the tenant owner properties really
Mm-hmm.
very peaceful, quiet. They don't have some normally don't have something going on. But if you do have, let's say, vacant home you need to sell, normally the way people handle it is we put it just for rent or for lease or for sale sign there for sale sign on the in front of the property. When people drive by, they can see the sign. Definitely, we put on the Facebook group
Mm.
or different on-site, just on-site, what's it called, the on online sites.
Yep.
And just normally people call you, or they, drive by, or then they to book appointment. Sometimes, most of the time, just walk in, say, hey, can I take a look? Call the phone, say, hey, can I go take a look? Sometimes we, because our on-site management normally they live really close by, we sometimes leave the doors open or just leave the door unlocked. So then
Wow.
when they come in, they can just say, hey, the door is open. You can just go there. When you go, when you leave, just lock it out. Then let us know. Then, we can go from there. Normally, that's the
Wow.
way we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's the mobile home parks, to invest in them is basically the owners will buy the land, buy the lots basically. And then there's like, infrastructure for these plots of land, or
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, for the hookups, like how do I call it, the platform, right, for each of the platforms,
The
that
the
will.
the lots. You talk about the
Yeah.
lots, the
Yeah.
water and the sewer.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
then, it's really, buying a mobile home park means you're buying the entire, like, whole unit of land, and then there's all these other slats where that have water or sewer that the mobile homes can connect to, and
Correct.
and so there will be, people usually come in with their own mobile homes, or if in some cases, people will need to buy a mobile home to be connected as well, right?
Correct. Correct. You can bring your own mobile home to our community
Mhm.
if we have vacant lot, because all the hookups already there. You just simply get a professional installer here and the carrier here normally, and then put in the right spot and hook it up, and then really that's it. Everything's there.
Got it. So is that, are those hookups something that the management company also helps with, or is that a different service altogether?
It's different services. Our property management is not responsible for hookups, everything. Normally, we have called a professional installer. They,
Hmm.
they get your. Let's say if you bring a new mobile home from manufacturer, from other places, you bring here, and you have professional what's called the transportation company help you carry here, and
Hmm.
they normally they can have somebody professional they work with together, installers come here, help you set to the right way, level it up, and then help you connect everything. But let's say if AC, you probably need a AC technician come here
Hmm.
to set up correctly too. So there are lots of detailed steps, but yes, they got to be professional to set up. Our property manager is not responsible for that. Nobody, I don't think most of properties management, the PM is responsible for that. No, they don't.
Yeah, that makes sense. Different service also changes liability, right? And so that,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's a big one. That makes a lot of sense. But the property managers would certainly know the different contacts, right? These different service providers in the area to make it, that they could probably suggest or recommend, so that people can, come and go as they need to into the community, right?
Exactly, exactly. Let's say if you buy a brand new mobile home from manufacturer, they
Mm.
have a list of people they work with, they can recommend to you. Let's put simple that way. I mean, yes, if you buy kind of like pre-owned homes, or from single other private people, then
Mm-hmm.
you may need to call your own people around, or sometimes we have list of people we work with before in that area, then we can recommend you. But you do your own due diligence, see if you want to work with them or not. That's pretty much it.
Yep. Okay. How long do is there's metrics for everything, right? And so questions that come up in terms of the operations are like, okay, it's one thing to get uh, tenants, to get people to come in into the community, but it's another. It's, well, how long do they stay for? And things like that. So, what are some of the metrics to be looked at and considered? Is it, how long people have stayed there for? Is it paid like on a month to month basis for the hookup? What are some of the other metrics that you look for as well?
Sure, sure. First, I want to point the difference RV park versus mobile home park. People see lots of now talk about RV parks, but ours is a mobile home parks.
Hmm.
That's difference is RV park. Most of people drive kind of like the recreational RV. They drive
Yep.
from point A to point B. For for some very expensive, like a 200, $400,000. I mean, very
Yeah.
nice one. That's not our clientele. Our clientele is ours a family park. People mainly, they are very kind of like a little lower economic class. That kind of people. The
Mhm.
people work in the Target, work in the Walmart, that kind of people. Family
Workforce,
park,
right?
yes, workforce people, blue collar people. Let's put that way.
Yes.
And they normally, that's our clientele. So just first, I
Hmm.
just want to make sure ours is not RV park. So
Yep.
to answer your question, in general, normally because our business model, people own their own home, we own
Mm.
the land. They every month they only need to pay law rent. We call law rent or pay rent, and our lease is month to month and auto renew. So
Got it.
because of that, because they own their own homes, they have a yard and they have more space. So most of the time they live there longer. I forgot where I saw the article said on average mobile home parks tenant, no, residents, they live there 7 years, 7+ years in
Okay.
general.
Wow.
Our mobile home park, most of people live there, I know, 10 plus. Our our business, what's called the property management, he lived there over 45 years. He just passed away
Wow.
in February. Anyway, yeah. So I was dealing with some issues over there, but I have another, at least, let me see, 3 or 4 tenants live there 20+ years. So that
Wow.
tells you people normally don't move that much because that's their home. First because when people say mobile home, really they're not that mobile, really, because when you settle down, everything just costs a lot to move them first. Five,
Hmm.
4, 5, 6, $7,000, depending on where you move to, really. Secondly, if the home is a little older, let's say 80s, 80s homes, even 90s homes, they probably not a good idea to transport
Move
them
it.
from place A, yeah, from place,
Got it.
A to B. That's another reason. So in general, normally, I think apartment people normally stay a year or 2 years, but mobile home
Hmm.
parks, normally people stay there 7+ years.
Got it. Yeah, that's a great point, and I was thinking about that too. That um, it's almost a misnomer, a mislabeling, right? Of being a mobile home. Like, yes, you could move it, but it would take thousands, 5,000, four, five, six, seven, or more potentially. But a structure that is getting older, you probably don't want to move it because it could be damaged
Exactly.
and cost and everything versus investing that 5, 6, 7,000 into somewhere else, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
got it. So I appreciate that, and like you said, it's sort of a month to month basis as well. So what let's pivot a little bit here. Let's talk about you know what the exit strategy looks like for an
Okay.
asset like this, because it's we're talking about investing, and of course, with these different types of models like you're talking about, it's having to raise capital in a lot of cases to go and buy these assets as well. And
Mhm.
so, um, what does a exit strategy look like for a mobile home park?
Just like apartment, I would say I always tell people when you, as an investor, when you buy, you always think about what's your exit strategy.
Hmm.
So I talk to lots of people. Some, they just get into this field. They lots of very, skilled too. But I tell them when you first come in, when you buy the properties, normally you need to think about your exit strategy. Are you going to sell to the investors? Are you going to hold it
Hmm.
for 5, 10 years?
Right.
What's your exit strategy? So that determines how are you going to operate, or what what area you want to operate to. Let's say if you want to, you have a group investor and your goal really is to make the most amount of your investor, then you probably want to exit, in 5 years or refi in 5 years, 5 years when the market is good or perfect, time. But let's
Mm-hmm.
say if what was that? Let's say if you want to just own for your legacy for 10 plus years, then you
Yep.
probably, for the long haul, then you probably don't mind right now if cap rate is, or interest rate is 8 or 9, then your cap rate, you probably don't focus that on too much, because if you can add a lot of value, improve
Mm-hmm.
property a lot, so the long run, you will beat whatever, even you buy a little bit higher the price. So long
Yep.
run, 10 years, 7 to 10 years, you're going to make money. You will win. So again, exit strategy is a big component, I would say, when you consider buy the mobile home park.
Yeah, yeah. That brings up a question that I think is important to ask too. So you're talking about either holding to refinance it or holding to keep it for keep it in your private portfolio over time, right? For the cash flow, like you were talking about, that can be really good. But you mentioned something important, which is you can add lots of value over time. So that sort of raises the question, right? With like multifamily, it's B or C value add as it's called. But in this case, in mobile home park, if the residents own the homes, what kind of value add things are there as owners of the mobile home parks? Like, how do you add value?
Right. There were also, let's say if you want to heavily value add properties, which means the occupancy is low.
Hmm.
Are you willing to buy properties occupancy 50s, 40s, instead already mature the 80s or 90s or 100% occupancy their property? That's totally different animals we're talking about. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's very definitely, your occupancy, increase the occupancy. That's one way. Another way is increase what's called the monthly rent. Mama pops
Hmm.
normally, especially mobile home parks, mama pops, because the small operators, some of their disconnect with outside world. They live in their own world. They don't know what's the market value.
Got it.
So let's say if market in the FW area, their low rent is 650. Maybe
Hmm.
in their community only still 300.
Huh.
So if you know your market, when you see this kind of deals, you find the gold.
Mm. Yeah.
And increase value is one thing. Increase the monthly rent, that's another thing. And also sometimes even the rent is a market price, but the operation, their property manager have problems. They have property manager problem. You can solve that problem. Let's say if this out of state uh, park owner,
Hmm.
the on-site manager is cooking the book,
Mm.
or put money in the park, put a rent in the pocket. The
Yeah.
owner probably don't know that, and that's another way you can find if they have PM problem, problem management problem,
Yeah.
or their infrastructure have problem. Let's say their water line, sewer line, park is old, need a big capital improve, but the owner don't want to put money in there or don't have money to put in there, whatever reason, it's
Hmm.
kind of like we call it deferred maintenance. But you
Yeah.
have a group of investor, you can, what's called syndicate a lot of capital capex money to improve the property, to improve the infrastructure. That's a big value
Yeah.
add. I mean, there are
Got it.
different ways. Yeah, different ways.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. So, right,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, because the residents own their homes, their own homes, there's still opportunities to value add, to raise monthly rents, to increase occupancy there, get more homes and residents in, and of course, as always, the operations, right, or the property management company here too, and making everything is tight there. So,
exactly.
um, yeah, great call outs and important touch points to think, okay, well, how do we increase the value? But let's talk to the investor now, right? Um,
Okay.
Inevitably, uh, it's okay. This sounds really good, especially when we're comparing, and you gave some great examples of multifamily compared to mobile home parks, especially with the cash flow. So,
Mhm.
if you're talking to an investor and, they're looking at, okay, uh, I am looking at how mobile home parks fit into my asset mix, my portfolio of my own investments. Where does mobile home parks fit into their portfolio of investing as a limited partner?
I'll say very high on cash flow, on yield, very secure. I would put that way, because I'm run into this myself run into this kind of question I have to ask myself, because at my age, we'll think about retirement or semi-retirement. A lot of my friends they think about retirement, semi-retirement, and to have them observe their capital, yet still have that growth. I'm
Hmm.
thinking about which asset class I should advise them. I should help them out. Two
Yeah.
things really. One is mobile home parks. The other one is as a LP investor. Another one is debt fund. As a
Mm,
as a debt fund. We can talk about this later. But mobile
yeah.
home parks definitely, people don't think, oh, I never, they think that's trailer park. They think it's very
Hmm.
risky. But I always tell people, I don't live there.
Right.
Don't think but that's a great asset class. I think now more and more people realize it, and more and more people, these mobile home parks get more attention. I feel like even some big institution funds start coming everything, but yeah, I mean that's actually high in cash flow, very secure, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on that matrix. It's really important, right? Lower cash flow versus higher cash flow, and of course the risk as well, lower risk and higher risk. So this is one that fits more into the bucket or the quadrant, if you will, of higher
Yeah.
cash flow and safer, which is a very interesting combination, right?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
so would you consider this so it's so in terms of you know uh feel free to add on top of this. So sounds like if you're looking to replace or supplement, right, your income, this would be one of those
Hmm.
great places, because you don't have to worry about investing money into a new development and not seeing cash flow for 3 years maybe, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
how soon can the investor start to get their first dollar after they invest?
Normally, I look at lots of these mobile home parks, apartments, even rent-own development, you name it.
Hmm.
I see lots of deals. Mobile home parks, normally, we're not talking about the developed mobile home parks. If that's a opportunity, I recommend people very carefully to consider that deal. But just in general, mobile home parks, acquisition and management, everything. Normally, after acquisition, pretty much after first quarter, second quarter, you will get your cash flow right away. Normally, their distribution monthly or quarterly, and then you receive your monthly distribution um, just like clock. You will. So far, people I know them. They're doing really well. And funny thing is, in mobile home park, this arena, it's a very small one, very niche, asset class. Most people we know each other, or at least recognize each other, and
Hmm.
very down to earth people, very friendly, very willing to help each other out. So it's
Hmm.
a very good group of people. That's what I want to say, really.
Awesome. Yeah. So super cool. Within the first to second quarter after acquisition, operation starts going. You'll start to see your first. It's you're saying that you're likely to see that first dollar back from your investment right away.
Right, exact
Um,
distributions. Yes,
awesome. So, Shannon, I know we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to be considerate of your time here. I appreciate you.
sure.
What is a piece of advice that you wish you knew when you first started investing?
I'm glad you asked, really, because I'm telling you, I spend a lot of money to go to
Yeah.
different camps, different mastermind, different, you name it. Oh,
Yeah.
pretty much single family flip, wholesale, mobile home parks, apartments, self-storage, you name it. And
Yeah.
flight. I can show you my flight 2003. I pretty much two flight 2 times every month. But anyway, so spend a lot of money really. Now I look back, I wish, I knew at that time, I wish I knew, um, the what's called the passive LP as a LP this role, just passive
Mm,
investing. I really, really think that's a great, great way to make money. Just think about it. You don't need to worry about people calling rental home. You don't need to worry about people calling you Thanksgiving or holiday or long weekend when you're traveling or with family. People, okay, my fan's not working. AC stopped and the toilet broke. Can you come here, send people here? And they're demanding.
yes.
I remember when I was the only rental or even manager some other people's properties. When the phone ring, you're shaking. You feel like, oh, what's wrong now? Just
Right.
yeah. You don't need to worry about that LP, and then yeah, you get all the upside of it, all the returns, especially with the professional help. All these
Mm,
people, they are doing this full time. Definitely, they know what they are doing, and they dealing with this day in day out. That's their job. They are doing this 100%. They know from A to Z plus. So, and you get not just, you don't need to worry about all the headache, but yeah, you get all the upside of it. That's no brainer. I mean, I was accountant background. I was an entrepreneur, but what I like to do, what I want to do, probably if I could redo this again, I'd probably doing something else. I'll be honest with you, you never know. I enjoy this, don't get me wrong, but I may be doing something else. Who knows? I may be running marathons all the time, or maybe doing farming. Who knows? You never know, right? But what I'm
yeah.
saying is, you can do whatever you enjoy. Let's say your tech, you're good, solving, coding or write, you're
Hmm.
very creative doing your creative, projects. You
Hmm.
enjoy doing what you're doing. Let other people do what they're good at it. I truly, truly believe how professional people do what they're good at it. Same thing, myself too. Everybody too. Do what you enjoy to do. Let everybody else do what they're good at it. Then that
Yeah.
way, that's to answer your question to the point. Really, if I could do it again, I would invest as a passive investor long, long time ago. Instead of spend all the money, doing all the, try and fail and headache and literally crying. Nobody could tell because people don't understand it.
Right.
Don't even mention 10 years ago, nobody knows mobile home parks. Be honest with you.
Yeah.
At that time, I remember when I bought my first mobile home parks, the family dinner, I don't tell them there's mobile home park. I tell them there's a multifamily because they
Yeah.
feel like, what? What are you doing? You're dealing with that? People think that's the kind of trailer trash, but
Right.
no, you just, But now people think, okay, that's, a mobile home park. They understand it. But at that time, people think, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah, I am going to take that clip and I'm going to send it to you after this, Shan. I so appreciate your being, transparent and candid about that. It's I just did an episode that yesterday or a couple days ago that's getting published in a couple minutes right now. It's scheduled to go out, which is exactly along that same lines. And for me, it's refreshing to hear it too because you've gone through so much. You have so much more experience around that, and have gone through ups and downs and the pain of be able to come out the other side of that fire with that wisdom. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyway, I can't say that enough. But last question here before we close out for the day is I sort of curious, how has the whys for you changed over time? Right. Probably I would say something like it was the cash flow and now you're running marathons everywhere. I'm just sort of, which I so love. And we have to talk about that more. But how has the why changed for you over time with investing?
Sure. Good question. Good question. Just like you mentioned, definitely first I was chasing was the cash flow. Now
Mm,
I think when I at a certain age, I would say, and feel like security, and also be help people out. That's another thing. Like today, I just talked to the state park owner association, their director over there. She mentioned that to me too. She said that because they are asking federal grants to boost the HUD, actually ask a federal grant to boost the affordability, give to the mobile home park community. We're talking about discuss this topic, and we discussed about the inflation, everything. She made a good point. She said, yeah, we are business owners. You guys are business owners.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we try to, help them out. Lots of people, most of good people, they're blue collar, good working people.
Absolutely.
But then you have business to run. You got to, whatever, because you have inflation too, you got to do whatever you got to do. Then the association, they are doing their job to ask government programs or grants there to help people out. So, everybody working together, hopefully, to reach some success to help everybody out. We all know, it's inflation, just unemployment. Everybody get hit. Everybody feels struggle. To be honest to you. So
yeah, for sure. We are in business, but we're in service too.
For sure.
And so the people that are doing great with their skills, what they do, let them do that and work with each other, right?
Definitely. And also be a decent human being. That's, I realize the most. Just lots of times when I'm wrong, I think if I talk to myself, just be a good person, be a decent people. Just, you can relate to other people. And sometimes money is not always everything. Really, it's not. Money can solve lots of problems, but if you're a bad person, you cannot, when you get home, you cannot face yourself in the mirror. What's the point at that? And so just, you got to answer yourself. Lots of times you don't need to answer anybody. If you can answer yourself, tell yourself, you know what? I'm good with whatever decision I make. Then you're good. That's it. You only you and yourself and your God. That's it. Nobody else need to answer. So yeah, be a decent people, be responsible, and help other people, really.
Yeah. Shan, thank you so much for being here. I know we didn't get to it, but I look forward to hearing more about your additional races that you do and all the training and the service you provide. So appreciate you.
Sure, definitely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Steven. Always.
Always. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Path to Passive. We love connecting with our listeners and those on the path to architecting their wealth and improving their lives. Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see in future episodes. Get in touch with us through email or Instagram. See you next week for a new episode.